It is the season finale of the Blitz, and we have come to Zeeland Stadium for the Battle of Chicks and Ducks. The fourth time since the split of Zeeland High School, the Bird Bowl has taken place in the playoffs, but the very first time it's ever happened outside the first round tonight, a district championship on the line in Division III and a spot in next weekend's regional final. Jason Nutt, Brett Bakita, and Steve Zerwan joining us tonight. Dan Roan out of state on business, so we replace one four-time state champion head coach with another coach. Thanks for being here, Brett. People are going to realize real quick, this guy puts me to shame in terms of being the book, right?
Well, yeah, and he also ages me because I started in this business when he was the quarterback at Muskegon Catholic Central.
Well, thanks for having me on, and I just was thinking you throw Dusty Fairfield in here, another four-time state title winner, and we'd have a heck of a show.
Well, we got to see a fun game tonight, Chicks and Ducks here at Zeeland Stadium with a district championship on the line. We go to the video of tonight's game of the week. Zeeland West getting all fired up for this one on the visitors' sideline. Meanwhile, the Chicks, of course, wearing the home brown thanks to their regular season victory. First quarter, the Chicks had gotten a stop on Zeeland West, and Gabe Taylor goes to work. 22 yards, so impressive.
Yeah, I can't tell you how impressive this kid is when you see him in person. He's just, man, does he just run the ball so well.
But Zeeland West came right back. Next play from scrimmage, Brett, Carson Gulker to Austin Brower, 63 yards.
Yeah, good hands there. And I tell you what, Gulker, only a sophomore, but really has showed composure in his second year playing quarterback.
Zeeland West gets the two. They're up 8-6, but it's 12-8 Zeeland East in the second quarter. Gulker going back to the air, this time looking for Trevor Kalinsky. This 32 yards down to the two. Gulker would take it in. A play later, Zeeland West up 16-12. This eerily similar to the regular season matchup. But third quarter, all Chicks. Taylor going deep for Tommy Zagunis. He hauls it in. This is a 49-yard touchdown. The two-point conversion good. Zeeland East had a 20-16 lead. Then they're going to go to Alex Stockdale, who was filling in for the injured Josh Fusco. He had a big game. That touchdown run, which we were unable to see, made it 42-24. Zeeland East the winner tonight over Zeeland West. Gabe Taylor, the huge game. Over 300 yards total offense, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. Carson Gulker really good in this game, throwing the football for Zeeland West. But guys, the third quarter I thought told the story. 22-0 Zeeland East. What did we see from the Chicks there coming out of the locker room?
Yeah, they made some adjustments, and it really was Gabe Taylor taking over. I mean, his ability to throw the ball downfield, his ability to run the ball, that's so difficult to, when you're a defensive coordinator, trying to call a game against that, because, you know, your inclination is we need to stack the box, you know, we need to put 7 in there to really, you know, to stop his running. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's got some one-on-one matchups on the outside, which he was taking advantage of. You know, there were some times that, you know, West was playing with 1 safety, 2 safeties, and then no safeties. And, you know, again, it's kind of a guessing game when you're playing against a quarterback that good.
Well, and also I thought Zeeland East did a great job, and Derek Pennington's staff have done this before because of the recognition, how they staffed the gaps and really taught their kids discipline on defense. There weren't many big runs for Zeeland West tonight. Their damage was through the air, which is not typical for them, but I think Zeeland West said, you know what, we're going to pick our poison and see if Gulker can beat us. And in the meantime, Gabe Taylor, tough kid. I mean, he had a noticeable limp through that second half. This was a hard-hitting game. He has kept coming up with big plays for Zeeland East.
Well, you don't have to tell Chicks fans or the team. This is their first win over Zeeland West in the playoffs. They snapped a 3-game losing streak. After the game, Gabe Taylor and Alex Stockdale on the win.
It means so much. We work so hard, and we play for each other. We play for Josh because you see we had him out, and it just means a lot that we got the dub for him.
We just had to play for him, and just our line and everybody just had my back, and I had theirs, and we just played for Josh.
We have a lot of conference right now. We call it the fun train. We just have a lot of fun, and we play for each other, play for our coaches, play for our community, and we just have a lot of fun.
We always talking football, guys, about next man up mentality. I mean, Josh Fusco's a big loss for Zeeland East not to have him. A 4-year varsity player, starting running back, starting safety on defense, but Alex Stockdale, really good running the football tonight.
Man, he did an awesome job. They had the one was like a, you know, a sprint draw play that he broke in the, I think it was in the first quarter there. Then he had another run to kind of seal the game towards the end of the third quarter. But that makes it really hard. I mean, imagine going into a game here against your cross parking lot rival, and all of a sudden you find out that a guy that's a 2-way starter for you, been on the varsity for, you know, 3+ years, all of a sudden's not there. It makes it very hard to call a game when you don't have your key running back there. And then you could see tonight, I haven't seen Zeeland East play, obviously, but, you know, the ability to just lean on Gabe Taylor, get all those runs, and then, you know, again, you're just kind of relying on him to make plays with his arms and his legs. And, you know, just a well-coached game, I thought, by Coach Pennington and by Coach Shillito tonight.
Coach, how impressed were you? And Jason, you guys were on the sideline, but I noticed it from the press box tonight, and maybe it was because of the motivation for Josh, but the focus of these players. I mean, you always talk about when you face an offense like that on defense, you have to be disciplined and focused for 4 quarters. Thus, there's a lot of teams that are successful with it because that's tough to do as a high school player. But I saw guys still in the 4th quarter going with the quarterback where they had the ball or not because that was their division to play.
No question about it. And again, the wing T offense, people think, well, you should be able to cover the pass. It's very hard because a lot of times those tight ends are, getting out of the safeties to block on little trap plays, and then all of a sudden, they're going past you and running flag routes and post routes, and it's tough to cover them. So hats off. I thought it was such a well-played game. We have 1 turnover tonight.
Yeah.
I thought 1 fumble by Zeeland West, and that was early in the game. And other than that, just an extremely well-played game, an extremely well-coached game. The fact that the Ducks were ahead in the first half, I thought a lot of that was because of Coach Shillito being able to mix it up. Again, throwing a lot of passes. The one pass that went down here, that's a 3rd and 1 call, that he's throwing a pass on. That's not like a wing T team. So, he probably thought he had to do a little something different. And, man, you really had that going in the first half. And, in the end, it kind of was too much Gabe Taylor.
Well, Carson Gulker did throw for 238 yards in this game. Of course, he's got 2 years of high school eligibility left. A lot of great Zeeland West seniors, though, finished great careers tonight. Well, let's start out by introducing Coach Tom Burrow. We really appreciate having him on. He knows more about football than Bakita and I put together times 100, as demonstrated by his 2005 state championship at Caledonia. And tonight, our game of the week in Division II, 2 of the best teams in the entire state, really. Forest Hill Central coming in 10-0, blowing teams out. Mona Shores at 9-1, but of course that one loss at the hands of Muskegon in a very close game. It's tonight's game of the week. The Rangers, defending district champions in Division II, looking to repeat, and the Sailors looking for their first district title since 2014. Mona Shores moved the ball a lot in the first quarter, but their first 2 possessions resulted in missed field goals. The third one is Pay Dirt D. Davis in with the short touchdown run. It was 7-0. Then just before the half, Sincere Dent with the touchdown run. Sailors led it 14-7 at the break, but early in the third quarter, Luke Majic finds Cam Dynas out of the backfield into the end zone. This ties the game at 14, and then after the kick, the pass from Mona Shores intercepted by Cade Showman, and he's going back to the end zone. Huge momentum swing. Forest Hill Central takes a 21-14 lead. Then later in the third, Majic lays it out perfectly between the corner and the safety, and Tate Halleck's got it, and he's going to the house. 77 yards for the score. Forest Hill Central, back-to-back district champions. They win a great game here tonight. 28-21 the final, and the junior quarterback does it again. Over 300 yards of total offense, 2 passing touchdowns. He also added a rushing touchdown, his favorite target, fellow junior Tate Halleck, who had 4 catches over 100 yards and a score as well. And guys, when we look at what happened in this game, Coach, you and I were on the sidelines. Many big moments in this game. What did you think stood out to you most, especially for the Rangers in this one?
Well, I think right away it was the 2 defensive stands inside the 10-yard line. Mona Shores really kind of controlled the football game in the first half and was only up 14-7. So I think their defense making some huge stops for them kept them in the ball game, and then the second half I think you could see that momentum switch on the touchdown pass to tie it up, and then the pick 6, and then I think they really believed in themselves.
And Brett, Luke Majic continues to make plays when his team needs him to. He wasn't even the starting quarterback when the year began.
Well, and he kept plays alive tonight, I thought, with his feet. A lot of times it looked like Mona Shores was going to get the sack, and somehow he found a way to spin out of the pressure, make a play with his feet. And a couple times, this doesn't happen too often in high school football, he showed his maturity where it wasn't there. Instead of forcing something, he threw the football out of bounds and played for another day. That showed me a lot, and that's what this Forest Hill Central team does. I was talking to Coach Burrell after the game. I mean, they just kind of find ways to be successful, and that's why it's a special group.
Obviously, a huge part of this game is the beginning of that third quarter when Forest Hill Central converts a 3rd and 10 on the screen pass to Halleck, then the touchdown, and then the interception return for a touchdown. 14 quick ones, and they went from down 7 to up 7. And you have to remember, Forest Hill Central had some glory days in the early to mid-90s, but it'd been a while since they've had consecutive seasons like they have now. Back-to-back district championships. Go ahead.
I was just going to say also, I think one of the things that Coach Burrell and I were talking about is this secondary, I told you going into the game, is really special. I thought they performed A tonight. I mean, A performance with their grade against, I think, a very good passing team with some talented wide receivers from Mona Shores.
No question. An outstanding team from Mona Shores. Well, I talked to Coach Tim Rodgers in the Coach's Corner after the game. Back-to-back district championships, that has to mean a lot.
We're starting to make some changes and build a little bit of momentum around here. I mean, it's been a long 6 years. First 4 years were pretty tough. So the last 2 years, we're finally starting to make a turn, and it feels like the kids are buying in, and what we're doing on offense, defense, and special teams is working.
Ability to score in that first drive of the third quarter, and then you turn around and get the pick six. How important was that, just little scenario there?
Yeah, there was a lot of momentum, right? I mean, we come out of the locker room, and I was trying to pump them up. They felt like they were a little bit flat. We've only been behind one other time this season, and I was reminding them, it's playoff football. It's not going to be easy. So we come out and we score, which was awesome. Offensive staff did a great job of putting together a good plan to go down and score, and then Cade Shulman does a great job, jumping a route and taking it to the house for a touchdown. So change the momentum of the game without a doubt.
And then the last drive, you don't score, but you ran almost out the entire clock. You really were able to run the ball. When you maybe didn't run it great before that, how important was that last drive to put this away?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, when the game's on the line, give it to Luke Magic, and he's going to figure out a way. So obviously our offensive line did a great job when they needed to. Our fullbacks, Isaac Torrey, I saw out there pushing people around, but Luke's going to figure out a way to find a little crack and get a couple yards and maintain the ball. So between the two of them, they figured out a way to hold it right down to the very end, and we only had to have a couple plays on defense.
So Forest Hill Central, your winner, 28-21 in a great game of the week. And as we look forward now, the Rangers will be home again next week. They get Traverse City Central in a regional final here. And at this point, guys, I mean, they're a team that's poised to make a run. Now, it's never easy at this point, but a team you have to really like going forward.
Yeah, what I really like about them is what Brett talked about is their secondary. They can match up with anybody. They're very athletic. They play the ball really well, and they're really physical coming up on the run. So I think they can match up with anybody they play, a team that wants to run the ball or a team that wants to throw the ball on them.
And now what's interesting is if they can get healthy again. I mean, they had some guys banged up, as did Mona Shores in this contest. You hope to get those guys, if you can continue to play, back in the mix. But you have a guy like Jay Storton, an unsung hero. I mean, here he puts on jersey number 69, plays in the offensive line tonight. We know he's a standout on defense. He could at one point play quarterback if you need him to. I mean, that's the kind of multiple dimension athletes they have here at Forest Hill Central they've developed over the years, and thus a tough team to match up with mano-a-mano.
The Rangers are moving on. We got lots more from Forest Hill Central, but for now, let's go back to the studio.
How about the Rangers going from 2-7 a year ago to now 9-2? Now we get a rematch of that epic game early in October between Forest Hill Central and Lowell. This time, it'll be for a regional title.
Well, I can't say enough about how good of a win that is for Forest Hill Central to go to Portage Central. They hadn't lost there all year. They're really good at McCamley Field. And they get Ty Collins back tonight, and all they do is Halleck and Euchre connect 4 times.
That's great.
Unbelievable right there, and it sets up for a big rematch next week against Lowell, who they think they should have beat earlier on in the season.
Well, somebody who knows a little about that's Brett Bakita. Let's bring Brett back in. And Brett, you've kind of had your eye on this, a potential Lowell Forest Hill Central rematch. You got it. What do you think about them meeting again next week?
Well, here's the thing, and I want to turn it right back on Coach Swore and Coach Osnock with their thoughts on this. I talked to Tim Rodgers after the game. They played a phenomenal game. For those who didn't see it, 3 turnovers in the first quarter, and as you guys know as coaches, you want to take advantage of those turnovers against a team like Lowell. They did. They scored every time. They were up 17 points 3 different times in that game, including in the fourth quarter, and couldn't put it away. My question to you is this week when you prepare, if you're Tim Rodgers at Forest Hill Central, it's like you played a perfect game and it still wasn't enough. What do you say to your club in the second go-around?
Well, I think for Forest Hill Central, they've wanted another shot at Lowell because they thought they had them. So I think that's motivation enough for them. And, they obviously had a couple turnovers late in the game against Lowell that hurt them some in that football game. But I think the Rangers have wanted a shot at Lowell since that day, and they're going to get one.
No question. And Coach Rodgers, he's a vet in this whole grand scheme of things, so he'll have something up his sleeves. But again, you got Coach Dean on the other side, so it's going to be a heck of a matchup. I'm looking forward to it.
When you remember, not only do you have the regular season game, which provides that, but these schools are 8 miles door to door. I mean, this is a good rivalry as well. So we're excited for another rematch. D2, we got the rematch, Muskegon and Byron Center. D3, we have the rematch, Muskegon and Byron Center. D2, it's Lowell and Forest Hill Central. We got plenty more coming up from Hackley Stadium right now. Let's go back to the studio.